To most people that aren't in the sneaker market specifically, like people still have a misconception that this is just some small time thing.
This is Brett, a sneaker reseller who owns an inventory management company worth $10 million.
Our mission statement is to help everyone achieve financial success through their passions.
Right now, he works with over 50 sneaker stores across the country, and today, I made the trip to learn how he went from losing all his money building his company.
I thought my business was done after that.
To creating $1 million business in this dying sneaker industry.
All right, Brett, so how much money do you make?
Off reselling nowadays, about like 150, 200,000 a year.
Okay, Now take me back to the early days. How did you get started?
So I actually started with a fake shoe.
You started with a fake shoe?
It was the first shoe I sold. The one shoe I wanted was the KD4 Year of the Dragon. I found one on some sketchy website that I didn't know at the time, but I paid like $80 for it. And 3 months later, it comes in like Chinese characters all over the box. I opened the shoe, not thinking anything of it. And it's not even the Year of the Dragons, it's the Galaxy 4s. I was still pumped, like it's a cool shoe. And so wore it to school the next day, ready to impress everyone and show them off. Everyone knew that they were fake. So much so that girls were coming up to me in the hallway saying like, hey, here you got fake shoes on. So I'm mortified. And so I go home and I tell my dad, like, I can't be caught dead in these. You got to put them on your eBay account. And we put in the description that they're not authentic. Mm-hmm. So we didn't say fake, but we didn't say they were real. Yeah. And they ended up selling at auction it was $324.
$324 for a fake pair of shoes.
Yeah. Given real ones at the time were like $1,500.
Yeah.
But still, I was
That's a lot of money.
If I can quadruple my money off a fake shoe, like imagine what I could do off a real shoe. And so I decided to liquidate the majority of my collection, mainly the pairs that were like collecting dust, and just put that into the business, focus more on like Instagram, Facebook groups, listing across every sales channel I could possibly get. By my freshman year, was doing about $300,000 a year.
So you're making a few $100,000 in high school reselling sneakers. Now fast forward to college. Walk me through this whole story with the consignment book, because I know that didn't go as planned.
Yeah, so we built out essentially an inventory management tool with cross-listing capabilities. The biggest issue I was running into was every minute of the day outside of class and studying was going towards adding the shoes I got that day into a spreadsheet and then listing across StockX, eBay, Goat, like Poshmark, every Facebook group you could think of, just to get that fastest sale in. It took up most of my nights doing that, but then even throughout the day, I was constantly checking my phone for when did something sell so I could immediately take it from every other portal or from every other channel. Inevitably, an item would sell while I'm in class on 2 different platforms, and I'd be faced with the decision of like, do I cancel the eBay sale and hurt my reputation, or risk my account getting suspended?
Yeah.
Or do I take the eBay or the StockX order cancellation fees, so I'm now losing money on the sale? So I was like, I have to find an easier way to do this. We came into the market right around the same time Scout did, actually almost right after them, and they were gaining market share very quickly, and we're trying to figure out what we can do with this platform we invested all of our money into.
Yeah.
And went through all this kind of time and really learning, figuring out how to build software. And we didn't want all that to go to waste. And so we heard that there's a big need for a consignment portal in the market. Very naively, we're like, how hard can that be? We already have integrations, we have inventory management, we'll make a few changes and it'll be fit for stores. So we're meeting with a bunch of stores around the world. They're telling us exactly what they need, and we're getting all this knowledge and meeting with them on a daily basis. And we couldn't meet the exact deadline that they needed it out for. But we didn't want all that time and energy to go to waste. And so we spent essentially the next 2 years building out the platform how we felt the right way, so we could come to market with something we felt comfortable with stores running their entire business from.
Where is the company at today? What does Coppet look like?
Our product has definitely evolved a lot from that original inventory management system. We're now building really an all-in-one system, something that any reseller, any size, scale, or model can run their entire business off of, and scale efficiently. So we help with inventory management. This lets a seller log an item and list it across every marketplace in just 30 seconds. So we've heard from our own time studies that it takes about 3 minutes to list an item to just one marketplace. So now they can do it across as many as they want in just 30 seconds. On top of that, they don't have to worry about recording sales themselves. It automatically gets detected by our system once it sells anywhere, and removes it from the rest to prevent that double sale. On top of that, with inventory checks, so a lot of stores, believe it or not, will shut down for the entire day to then check in the back room one by one, like check off on pen and paper, every item that's there. With our audit feature, they can check through thousands of items just an hour. So we're, only requires one person too, so they can save time and money. So this lets you connect with any user on the platform, whether it's a store, a consignor, an individual. As long as they accept your connection request, you can see all of their live inventory at any point. So if you get like a customer request in and you don't have the item, you can just search here and see if anyone in your connection list has it. If they do, you'll see who it is and just hit them up offline to then buy the item. Then with consignments, everything's secure. So you can track consignor applicants, you can set custom fee structures, track submissions, withdrawals, everything. We try never to approach a business with a kind of a cookie cutter solution or one size fits all. We want to provide as much optionality as we can because we realize everyone operates differently. So we want to be able to mold to your business and just fit in so that you can just run exactly how you want to run, but just faster and with more ease. We have over 50 stores worldwide that are using our platform and several hundred users, individuals that are using it. And we're now valued at $10 million. We've raised capital. We have grown our team tenfold. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey.
Wow. Okay. So I know tracking inventory and keeping good records is a big part of Coffit.
Yeah.
I know there was a story where maybe that record keeping was pretty important. What happened there?
Yeah. So I didn't really know where reselling was going to go for me. Part of me was like, maybe this will just be something I can, learn a lot from and maybe leverage in like a job interview later on. And so I was learning all these different areas of running a business from like general accounting to, inventory management. And, thank God I did because I ended up getting audited as a 16-year-old. All of my business was getting essentially run on like PayPal invoice because at that point there weren't really any marketplaces other than eBay, but they had higher fees at the time. And so a lot of deals were going down like Facebook groups. I didn't know this, but eBay sends you a 1099. And as a 16-year-old, I'm like, great, they handled it all for me. This is easy. Came to find out that eBay would only send like all the money I received, not what went out. So PayPal would only send what was coming in, out what was going out. So to the IRS, I was making like $500,000 in profit. And I was like, I may have made like 5% of that in profit. So when they hit me with like, you owe this much in taxes, I'm like, I don't have that money.
What was the number?
I don't remember. I think it was maybe like 30, 40,000.
Jeez. At the time, you're like 16-year-old kid. That's like everything.
And so I go to my parents, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, if I go into jail, like I don't have this money. But luckily I had spreadsheets of like every transaction I did. Everything again was through invoice. So like I had receipts from those invoices. So I could, show them that for this $300 sale, I paid $280 for the shoe. And thankfully they came back and were like, you're right. Like, thank you for the additional info. Forget about it. That was a big learning experience.
Yeah,
for me.
what was it like as a 16-year-old kid dealing with the stress of the IRS just coming after you?
Definitely one of those like strap on your big boy pants experiences where I'm like, either I gotta bust my ass to come up with this money, or I gotta figure something out. And so luckily again I had those records, but I thought my business was done after that.
Yeah, I feel like that feeling as you go on in entrepreneurship, it never goes away, right? There's always some new fire that has to be put out, some new thing that comes up. So Brett, let's go back to the early days of building this team, right? And starting to build the software. How much were you spending every month just on devs?
I mean, there were some months that we were spending like tens of thousands of dollars. Other months where it was, around like 10,000. So a lot of money.
And that's you're just burning that, right? You're not making any money yet.
Yeah, for a couple of years.
For a couple of years.
Yeah, to give you a frame of reference, like we started our company in South Carolina, which isn't like a Silicon Valley where there's super easy access to capital. So we needed to run very like scrappy. So we were very cognizant of like every cost we had and ran very lean, mainly because we didn't have the capital to not do that. But that's really, it's helped us. Being used to that path has helped us, in the long run, even to this day. Like, we have revenue coming in now, but do we really need that additional tool? It's going to be $15 a month, or like, can we do without it?
Yeah.
Which I think is a great mindset for anyone to have in a business.
Yeah, especially as everything grows.
Yeah.
You're not going out, you're not buying the Lambo.
I mean, that stuff adds up. Like those $10 subscriptions, like, yeah.
I want to hear more about this whole situation with the consignment shops not
Yeah.
being able to meet that deadline.
That was definitely one of like the lowest points in our journey so far. They were in a tough spot where they needed a portal in 3 months. And we were very, new to the software scene at the time. And we went to the firm that we were contracting out to and said like, hey, we need these few tweaks. They're like, great, like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. But as we had more and more conversations, the end product just started to get more and more complicated. But we felt like we were in too deep, and they obviously needed us, and we wanted to provide that for them. So I didn't really sleep for those 3 months. I was on either calls with the stores throughout the day or developers, through the day, through the night, trying to figure out what these issues we're having, like where they're stemming from. And a big issue was a lot of it was just out of our control. We didn't know till it was too late that Shopify has a review process to get an app in their app store. And they give you this window of to how long you can expect it to take, the review process. And we didn't know that every minor change we made to it, they had to go through that whole review process again. So we get something out to them and they would say, actually, your image logo is the wrong size for the app. And we're like, great, on the phone right now, like we just changed it.
Yeah.
Can you look at it again? They're like, sorry, we got sent off to our review team, 3 to 7 business days. And here, like the clock is ticking on this deadline and these stores are wondering like, why can't I get this out? So essentially, we just kind of rushed out a system that by that deadline, we didn't feel comfortable with. It was kind of just duct tape and plywood together. And we were faced with a decision of either, we let the stores use this and we're pretty confident that maybe in like 2-3 weeks, they'll realize that everything's breaking. And now we're in a really tough position because they're depending on our system even more, running their entire business off of it, and we're costing real money. Or we go back to them and say, look, we'll refer you to another system if we can find one for you, but we need to take the time to do this right. And that's what we did. Some stores were more, understanding than others, rightfully so. I personally was called out in, the Band LA Facebook group, which is the most notable in the community. I felt like my entire kind of career in this industry was done at that point. Because again, like my reputation that I'd built over 10 years, just an instance was kind of taken away. Just kind of fueled me even further. We didn't want to come back to the market again with sucky product and kind of prove everyone right that we don't know what we're doing. So we took kind of 2 years to surround ourselves with mentors and advisors, hire on our own team, and really do this exactly how it should be done.
And so, Brett, you mentioned at this point you'd sunk all this money into it, right? You put everything into the product.
Yeah.
What was that like? How much money did you actually put into the product?
It was definitely over 6 figures. Really, all the money that I had made up to that point from reselling, my co-founder put an equal amount in. We looked at each other at that point and we're like, either we kind of, sulk back home with our tails between our legs, or, we realize we have nothing to lose at this point. Like, we've sunk all our money into it. We have no reputation really to uphold anymore. So, like, let's just do this right and see if we can build the best product for the community.
I feel like most people would, at that point, like, okay, maybe it's just not working out. Let's just cut our losses and keep it moving. So you had 50 stores now that use Coppin. Was there any stories that really stuck out to you of those 50?
So many. But yeah, so we launched almost a year ago to the day. We were in Austin at the time. Our first store happened to be in Dallas. We weren't doing much marketing still. We were really just focused on the product, but our app was live in the Shopify app store. Every day we kind of check it to see, like, did anyone download it? Like, I don't know. And one day we saw like a name pop up of a store and we're like, that sounds like a sneaker store. And so like, we clicked the link and sure enough it is. We reach out to the guy and we're like, hey, we saw you download our app. Like, we want to hop on a call, just make sure like you're understanding it. Cause like at this point we have nothing really to help people use it, like no videos or anything. And so we hopped on a call and we're like, want to help you get set up. He told us that he's currently managing his inventory in his POS system. We're like, great, we can just export it from there, import it right in. This would be super smooth. He sends us his spreadsheet and the items are like Air Force One, $80. Or like Dunk Blue, $70. And we're like, are these the buy prices? Are these the list prices? Do you have the size, the colorways? And he's like, no, I don't have anything that was like, an issue. And we're like, we can't like tell him that, he's gonna have to go through all of his inventory. So for a first user, there's a line that a lot of mentors will throw out that you should do things that don't scale. We're like, you know what? like this weekend we're going to drive to you in Dallas and we'll help you upload all your inventory. Sean and I get in the car, we drive 3 hours to Dallas, and we get there around like 9 a.m. right when they open, and we go into their back room, and there wasn't a whole lot of organization in that either. We went through each item one by one, like adding the SKU, the size, colorway to like the spreadsheet one by one. By like 9 p.m., they're like, we got to close up. We're like, yeah, we got everything we needed. Then we figure out we don't even have the list prices yet. So we're like, shoot, what are we going to do? We realized that he has the prices like written down on the sole of each shoe on the shelf.
On the bottom.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we immediately start like taking pictures of every sole of the shoe. And then we get through everything, and we just like go to a restaurant or a bar, and we're like on our phones or our laptops, like going through each photo, matching the size or the price with the item in the sheet. And then we get kicked out of the bar because they have to close up. So we go to a hotel, and we had to like stay in the lobby because that's the only place with Wi-Fi. And let me tell you, there were some characters at like 4 a.m. at a hotel, and like we're just grinding it out, getting all these items in, and eventually like sun rises and we've got everything sorted. We go back to the store with everything imported. We tell them just out of curiosity, like, do you know how many items you have in the back room, and like how much do you think it's valued at? Knowing like we have the data, so let's see what he thinks about it. He's like, yeah, I think I have like 600 shoes, maybe like 200, 300,000. And we're like, you actually have 1,200 shoes, and it's about 600,000. So double what you thought. And his face lit up, and that was like, I'll never forget that. Sure enough, like he was able to open a second store pretty much a couple months later because he now had the inventory. He realized to do it.
That he always said.
Yeah, things just kind of snowballed from there. One of the coolest things was obviously the KD4 Galaxy re-released a couple months ago. And that's been like a grail shoe of mine. I bought the original version, a real one, in college, which I graduated in. And so I had to get like the new release. And I happened to be in Dallas at the time, checking on some of our stores. On release day, I took an L. And I was able to like go to a store that's like now a client of ours and buy the shoe from them.
That's awesome.
So it's like a whole full circle thing, which was really cool.
So you mentioned raising capital, right?
Yeah.
Walk me through that whole process.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big learning curve too. 20-year-old, 19-year-old, like trying to go in front of people that are probably more successful than I'll ever be, and asking for money is super daunting. And it's extremely tough, especially in this market. But for like a company like ours, to most people that aren't in the sneaker market specifically, like people still have a misconception that like, this is just some small time thing. Like we would come prepared with numbers of like, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we'll give you the source, and they'll be like, you got to check that. There's no way that's the case. So trying to like educate someone on this market, however passionate I am about it, if they don't get it, they don't get it. We really had to prove ourselves to our investors just as people, because we couldn't necessarily sell everyone on just the concept or the industry. So, that was a big growth period as well. Not to mention we're kids in our early 20s, like not many people are going to hand over, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to just some kid that they don't really know. But I think that kind of put like a chip on our shoulder. Like we were excited to undergo that challenge, and the people that have stuck with us, like we're going to support as best as we can. Like, I mean, they're really the big driving factor for us. Like someone that took a chance on us as a 20-year-old, like, yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure like you see a return and you feel like you made the right bet.
Brett, I can't imagine going up to these like old investors and saying like, hey, I want to like build a platform for sneaker resellers.
Yeah.
How many times did you have to talk to people? How many no's did you get?
A lot. Yeah, countless no's. And we continued. It's a work in progress, obviously. We would try to be strategic. Like we try to target people that, all right, maybe their son is interested in shoes, and like maybe that will bridge the knowledge gap. But it might be like, oh yeah, like my son was asking about like Yeezys the other day. We're like, oh cool, so you get it. And they're like, yeah, but like who's buying $400 shoes? Okay, but like we'll show you.
Yeah.
Like we have the data. But I think we were kind of prepared from, again, that position where like losing kind of my reputation as a reseller and getting like a no, or like having those early discussions kind of gave me the scar tissue to enter into those conversations where I'm like, there's nothing you're going to say to me that I haven't heard before, or that I haven't heard that was like 10 times worse. Going to those conversations with people that are incredibly successful and then I definitely idolize and like seeing them just not comprehend it at all definitely starts to hurt your like ego, your self-confidence.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep going for it. And inevitably we found people that did get it and that do believe in the company, and like those are the people you want on board. If they don't get it and they give you the money, then a year down the line when you're really in the thick of it, you don't want them coming out being like, you should be doing X, Y, and Z, like trying to veer you off path. So you need the right people for sure.
Are most of your investors still involved? Like, are they on the board, or what does that look like?
Absolutely, yeah. We have been very particular with who we've like taken capital from, because I mean they're lifelong relationships, at least for the life of the company.
What's one piece of advice you give to someone who wants to do exactly what you did?
I mean, like, be ready. It will get rough, but like looking back on it, every time that we were in one of those very steep lows, it all ended up actually turning into a positive. Like that issue with not meeting that original deadline then led to Steven joining our team, and some of the mentors that we brought on through a lot of those issues with like some of our early devs. I mean, those are lifelong connections that I will continue to have, whether it's throughout the rest of Copit or even whatever comes next. So just like stick with it. And the biggest thing as well, this is a line that my mom ingrained on me from day one, is like, kill them with kindness and you attract more bees with honey than vinegar. And so like always leading with that, because like with software, it's super unpredictable and you're going to run into very difficult conversations with people, and like being transparent with them, people value that tremendously. Really, people just want to feel heard and appreciated. Treat them or you'd want to be treated. People will support you, and we've gotten endless support from stores that early on there may have been a big rough patch, but now they're referring us stores left and right. Just being your like true and authentic self really can carry you far.
Inspiring, Brett. Wow, that was good. What's next for you? What's next for Copit?
Our mission statement is to help everyone achieve financial success through their passions. And up to this point, it's been, sneaker reseller specifically, because, sneakers is obviously something that I'm passionate about, and reselling is something that I really enjoy, especially coming from a finance background. Like, I enjoy being able to, exercise different investment strategies and like finding the arbitrage opportunities out there, reading the market trends. That's something I enjoy, but we don't want to only serve like that small demographic. Looking forward, I'm starting to draw a lot more inspiration from like my brother, who comes from a film background. Like, he sees the value in investing in personal finance, but like you start talking about like derivatives trading or things like that, like his eyes will gloss over. And the fact of the matter is that's most people. So what we want to do now is build Copit into a platform that can help anybody who may just be interested in pop culture, which is super tangential to sneakers, be able to, with very minimal friction, generate a portfolio or like, achieve financial stability through that. My brother, who's into film and, everyone's on social media these days, can just be paying attention to like, oh, so-and-so is wearing this shoe in that movie. Like, that's going to have an impact. Or I'm big into music and Travis Scott's going to come out with a new album that I think is going to be good and his legacy will prevail. So like if a store says they need a shoe, Travis Scott shoe that I think is cool, and here I'm directly connected with someone that has that shoe, then yeah, I'll just front the money and then they'll take care of the rest, and I just sit back and wait for the payout to come in. So really just connecting all the dots in this market to remove a lot of the gate-kept secrets from a lot of these big players, so that really anybody can come in with minimal like connections that us resellers spend years crafting with store owners that we can sign with, or the industry knowledge of like, I know I can buy this shoe in this marketplace, sell it on this one and make a profit, but instead just like provide people with the tools they need to at least see some success. Obviously, the more full-time resellers will be able to scale faster and to larger businesses, but giving everyone that like initial foot in the door into the market. Because essentially it will help everyone, just making this market run more efficiently.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, sir.